Welcome back. It's good to see you again. I know I've been away, but I've been stuck here in my man cave trying to figure out a little bit about NSX-T 2.5 and looking at its user interface. So as I'm working down here in my cave, I want to demystify for my own self how the NSX-T 2.5 UI actually made a change from the 2.4 interface. So since you're here with me, thank you for being here, and please subscribe, tell all your friends, and let's take a quick look, not a detailed look, but a quick look at the NSX-T 2.5 interface. So what we're going to do here is just take an overview of the entire interface and how it operates. As you know, you go into an HTML5 interface, and when you first log in, you get to the home screen. First thing is we've got this search window, and we can enter in our keywords, and we can find edge cluster, edge node, just putting edge in. It's English language. It allows us to take a look at what's going on. So as you can see, the home page on the NSX-T manager now is showing you an overview of all of the different networking, security, system, and inventory components that are laid out in your environment. As you see, I have a little warning coming up here. It says 3-node clusters recommended. My lab doesn't really have the support for 3 nodes, so I'm just going to disable or close that up. And then it shows you I've got 2 transport zones, 4 host clusters, an edge transport node. In security, it's got the gateway policies and the distributed firewall policies. It shows how many gateways, tier 0 and tier 1 you've got let up, and all those. Then there's the monitoring dashboards that are available to you to be able to check and see where are you, how are you configured, how well are you doing. And it's showing how my backups are not working. That's something I'm going to work on this weekend. And then the fabric, how many transport nodes, how many configured, all this green is very good. Other system, well, we've got networking and security objects that are identifying, okay, how many gateways do we have, how many segments do we have, how many load balancers are set up, all the items in networking and security. We can also monitor advanced networking and security and see the load balancers and the firewall and the virtual servers and the switch ports that are enabled and the VM ports that are enabled. We've got some powered down VMs at this point, so we're showing some red down ports. VPN setup we can identify. Now, if we look forward and go into our NSX-T 2.5 configuration, we can see that there is the system configuration. There is within system, and this hasn't changed a great deal. You see a little bit of categories where the configuration category, fabric is now under a configuration category. Appliances are going to show our management cluster. The fabric is still set up with nodes and profiles and transport zones and compute managers. This will show us our vCenter nodes and our edge transport nodes, our edge cluster and bridge clusters if we were going to configure that. Now that is being deprecated, as you can see here. Bridge cluster is now dedicated. We use edges here to do bridging, so that bridge cluster, that'll be gone out of the interface here shortly. And then the profiles is set up with all the different switch profiles and edge profiles that are configured. There's our edge bridge profile where we'll work with bridging from this point forward. The transport zones hasn't changed. Compute managers really hasn't changed, but we see the objects are categorized here. That's under configuration. Service deployments is available so that we can set up our partner services. Now, as you can see, I have have no partner services available for me. Active Directory can be configured. We can identify either the Active Directory server or the LDAP server for user support, group support. Backup and restore is enabled under the lifecycle management, where the upgrade coordinator also lives, as well as the migration coordinator to run from V to T. So that's all in the lifecycle management category. And then we've got users and licenses, certificates, support bundle, customer experience, and proxy settings, all enabled on our settings location. So that's all under system, which is where it used to be, except now it's categorized to make things a little bit clearer, a little bit easier to navigate to. Now, I'll click through quickly with networking. Networking categorize things a little bit differently, as you see. We also have the capacity established within each component. Security is set up with east-west security, where the distributed firewall lives, and north-south security, where the gateway firewall lives. Again, the categories there are similar to what we saw in the 2.4 interface. The inventory is set up with the inventory, where inventory, services, context profiles, virtual machines, all listed on the inventory content there. Now, if I go to the overview, I'll see also capacity. How many can we support? Groups, 10,000 groups. IP sets, 10,000. Groups based on IP sets, 10,000. vCenter clusters that we can support, up to 64 of them, up to 1,000 hypervisor hosts, 1024. So we've got our warnings and our alerts set there. So that's our capacity tab. Again, that exists in each one of these. Now, something that's a little bit different is we have this plan and troubleshoot, where we can set up our IP fix profiles, we can set up our port mirroring profiles, we can look at consolidated capacity with all of our configuration maximums. And then there is this. Discover and take action. Welcome to NSX Intelligence. So go to System, locate the appliance card, and install the appliance. Now, my lab does not have the appliance available to install at this point in time. That'll be one that we'll cover in a later video. So we're going to look to get our NSX Intelligence involved, and we'll work on that going forward, and that'll bring you back for another episode of vGandalf Demystifies. So that's just a real quick look at the interface and some of the changes that we saw in NSX 2.5's user interface. I hope that was helpful for you. Come back, we'll look at NSX Intelligence in another episode.